Imagine a bunch of kids building a giant block tower. It gets taller and taller, but they don't realize the bottom blocks are getting weaker. Then, crash. That's kind of what happened to the world economy in 2008. It was called the Great Recession, and it affected millions of people around the globe. Let's break it down. Super simple. First things first, what's a recession? A recession is when the economy shrinks instead of grows. People lose jobs, businesses make less money, banks get scared to lend. It's like winter for the economy. Cold, slow, tough. The Great Recession wasn't just any recession, it was the worst one since the Great Depression in the 1930s. Let's go back to the early 2000s. Back then, buying a home in the US was super popular, and banks were handing out home loans like free candy, even to people who couldn't really afford to pay them back. These risky loans were called subprime mortgages. Banks thought, don't worry, house prices always go up, so they felt safe. Then, they bundled these risky loans and sold them to investors around the world, pretending they were super safe. But here's the problem. Soon people couldn't pay their home loans, and as more and more families defaulted, house prices crashed. 1. People lost their homes. 2. Banks lost money. 3. Investors panicked. 4. Stock markets plunged. 5. Businesses shut down. 6. Millions lost their jobs. The economy didn't just slow down, it froze. The system was interconnected like a giant spider web. When one string snapped, it shook everything. Banks didn't trust each other. People stopped spending. Companies stopped hiring. Even people in other countries, who had nothing to do with US housing, felt the pain. Because the whole world had invested in that big, risky tower. Governments had to act fast. In the US and many countries, central banks lowered interest rates to make borrowing easier. Governments bailed out big banks so they wouldn't collapse. They pumped trillions of dollars into the economy to get it moving again. It wasn't perfect, but it helped stop the bleeding. It took years for the world to recover. People lost homes, jobs, savings, even trust in the system. But it also taught us big lessons. Don't ignore risky loans. Don't assume prices always go up. And always ask what's really underneath the tower. Let's recap. The Great Recession was a huge global crisis that began in 2008. It started with risky home loans in the US banks, and investors built a tower of risky debt. When people couldn't pay their loans, the whole system collapsed. Government stepped in to rescue the economy. It changed how we see money, housing, and risk. Now that you understand the Great Recession, what would you do differently? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more easy explanations with Econo Talks. See you next time.